Hey, how are you doing everyone? Welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use the Z-Image Power Nodes custom node. Basically, it's a collection of nodes that will allow you to best use the Z-Image model. Essentially, they are helper nodes that you can integrate into your Z-Image workflow. And you will see things like this where we have a visual style chooser, basically. So you will be able to select your style visually and even see a preview. There is a custom K-sampler available in this pack. There's also a custom empty latent especially made for the Z-Image Turbo, and I'm going to go through explaining how to use this and how to integrate these nodes into your Z-Image Turbo workflow. Now you can use this for any Z-Image family model, even a derivative or a fine-tuned version of it. Now if you'd like to get more information, I will leave two links in the description below. The first one will be for the GitHub repository, and this is by Martin, and he is basically the creator. You will get this link in the description below. They also posted a CivitAI post explaining the Z-Image power nodes. So I'm going to have this link in the description below, including the model version ID. So as you can see, I'm using the version 2 right now. Now there's a requirement for this. Since this is a custom node, you will need to install it from the ComfyUI Manager. So install custom node, search at the top here, Z-Image power nodes, and this is the one that you will need to install. You can see the author here. Click on the install button, restart your ComfyUI, and if done correctly, when you double click and you search for Z-Image power nodes, you should see these custom nodes in here. Now for today's video, I will be using a basic Z-Image Turbo workflow, and you can see the models that I'm using. I'm using the BF16 of the Z-Image Turbo, but you can switch this to the FP8 version. You can also have a GGUF version in here. Same thing for the clip. I'm using the 16-bit precision, but you can also use the FP8 version and the VAE. So all of this should be familiar if you've used the Z-Image Turbo. Of course, I'm going to have the final workflow in the description below. All right, so I'm inside of ComfyUI. By the way, my ComfyUI is up to date, but as long as you're able to run the Z-Image Turbo, you should be good. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you is the empty Z-Image Latent Image. You can just search for it, double click and search for it and add it. By the way, you can also right click, then go into Z-Image here, and you will get the list here. So this empty latent node will create a latent. It is basically the same as this empty SD3 latent image, but we have more control. So you will be able to select your aspect ratio from here. Now you can see that we have 3:2, but we don't have 2:3. Basically, when this landscape option is false, it will be a portrait mode. So even though we've selected 3:2 here, because the landscape is false, it will give us a portrait version, so 2:3. And for everything, it applies like this. So these are optimal ratio for the Z-Image Turbo model, and you can control the size by selecting from size. So we have small, medium, large, and I've already explained the landscape here. If this is true, you will get a widescreen landscape output, and if it is false, you will get a portrait version. The way to integrate this inside your Z-Image workflow is simply replacing this node, this SD3 latent. So you can select it, delete, and then take the latent into your K-sampler. That's where it connects. It doesn't matter if your workflow is a simple one like this or a complex one where you have upscalers, refiners section, and so on. You just need to make sure that this is going into the K-sampler as a latent. So I'm going to fix the seed here, and we can take a look at the result. All right, so we can see here we are at 3:2. This is medium, and my aspect ratio here is 2:3 because the landscape option is set false. All right, so we have a decently high quality resolution, and it will automatically select the appropriate width and height. And this was without the landscape. If we set this to true, you can see what happens now. We have a larger width compared to the height. So that's basically the empty Z-Image latent. It should be fairly easy to use and integrate into your workflow. If you do not have enough VRAM to use the medium size, you can set this to small, and you will get an approximately 720p-ish result. So 720p small, 1080p is medium, and then if you have enough VRAM, you can do the large as well. I'm guessing it's going to be 2K. Now next, we are going to look at a replacement for the K-sampler itself. So you can double click and you can search for Z-Sampler Turbo. This is a custom sampler, and you can see it's pretty much the same as the default K-sampler. We have the model, positive, latent. We don't have a negative prompt. It's not required. It will output latent, so exactly the same here, but there's no option to select the sampler name or a scheduler that's already configured. We still have the denoise, the number of steps. We have some additional controls, and this is the initial noise calibration and then the low res bias. So first, to connect this, you can disconnect from the K sampler and just connect it into the Z sampler turbo. No need for a negative prompt, and your latent image goes there as well. Now, for the sake of comparing here, I'm going to select the same seed, but just know that the sampler is different. Okay, so keeping everything as it is, I will still go to, I'll do it small just so that it's fast. All right, yes, the output will go into VAE decode, and there you go. We still have the preview. It's still giving us similar result. So now you're probably wondering why use dedicated sampler. Basically, this sampler is set up that you can go all the way down to 3 steps or 4 steps, and this is basically considered as drafting an output. Now, this is by no means a result that you will be able to use, but it will give you the composition, and you can see the positioning detail, and then pass it over to a refinement stage. Then we have the normal, which would be either 8 or 9 steps. And the developer also mentioned that you can also do 7, around 7, to get a high enough output that requires no post-processing. Now, they also mentioned that you can go all the way to 20 steps, but beyond this point, there is very little difference in the output. So definitely experiment with this new key sampler. You can go from 3 to 20. And as a reminder, 3 will be for drafting, 5 is where you get acceptable, 7 is high enough that doesn't require post-processing, 8 to 10 is what we are used to, that's the sweet spot, and then you can go all the way up to 20. Now, together with this, we also have the advanced version, and in this one you will see we have some more values, experimental, so you can always play around with these values, and when you hover over it, it will tell you what you are basically doing. So I'm going to keep the simple version in here. Now quickly, I'm going to go over the save image. Some of you may want to use that, and it's basically the normal save image with CivitAI compatibility metadata. I think the developer added this so that they could upload some images on CivitAI. If you are one of those people, you can always use this to get the metadata according to CivitAI. All right, next, let's take a look at what I would consider the big one, and this is the Style and Prompt Encoder. So select it, and it will take a clip. It will output conditioning or string. Basically, conditioning is what we need. So our clip is going to be the load clip itself, and it will output a conditioning, which is basically like our positive prompt. Now, then we have a style here. We have a drop down, and as you can see, we have a lot of options. So let me zoom out, and there you go. It goes all the way to custom 4, and the top one should be none. Now, it's okay to use this if you know what you're looking for and if you know that particular style. But what makes this node stand out is this select style. When you click on it, you get a visual selector, and you can hover your mouse pointer over any of these images, and you'll get a preview on the left side here. So let's say we want selfie. It tells you this is an example of what selfie looks like. This is one where we have teal and orange, and there's some anime comic style at the bottom. So you can see the character is exactly the same. It's just the style that is changing. So we have manga as well. You don't have to write the prompt to get this style. So for example, let's say we want to get the manga style. I still have the same Latina at the top. That's basically the default prompt. If you want to, we can add a preview as text just to see what happens to the prompt itself. Let's click on Q, and there you go. It says your contacts. We have Japanese illustration and stuff like that. And well, actually, we are not using this clip text. Basically, this style prompt encoder is replacing the clip text. So let's copy the text, paste it here, and we can delete this clip text encode since this one is replacing it. Let's place it here. We can place the preview at the bottom, and let's run. And now we can see we have the context here with the top part explaining the Japanese manga style. All right, so this is much better, and now we can see that manga style. We still have the same composition in the back. The character as well is pretty much the same. Now, of course, if you know the name, you can actually do this faster. Instead of searching here, you can click and type in to filter out. So something like this. Let's say we want to do a dog anime, and you will see here at the top, this section basically is what's changing, and that is giving it the style. All right, so now we have the dog anime style in there. All right, so far we've replaced the latent, we replaced the text encoder and the K sampler. Now, if you're doing image to image, then it's recommended to use this VAE encode, especially if you need to do like inpainting. You need to have your inpainting workflow. Now, there's is a different version of this style and prompt encoder, and this one will output a string. So actually, let me disable this. Let's say we do that anime one again, so doc anime, and I'll use the preview node. So I have this mini workflow here to show you what's going to happen, and let me just copy the same prompt from top. And essentially what it's doing, it's outputting a string with this, and now you can combine this with a different node, like that's going to be text itself, where you can type something, right? So after you get this part, you can add your prompt or something else to it. Let's say you want to control the atmosphere, so you can have something else combined with this. That's basically it. It's like a simpler version of this, which does not output a conditioning. I'm going to recommend just using this. Even if you need to combine separate prompt later on, you can use this string for it. So let me check if I missed anything. Okay, so we have this my top 10 styles, and it goes into a my top 10 style editor, and you will select different styles in here. Let's get the text input. I'm just going to select some random style. I'm just going to do 5, and now you can basically experiment to see what these styles are. So for example, if you set the first one to be true, it will tell you this is what it will output. And well, let's do the warm photo. So if I set this one to true and run it now, this is what it will be using as the style. So you can use this experiment to see which one we like, especially if there are two styles which are like similar, and if you want to see like in the back end what it's using. That's all that we have. In terms of nodes that are actually like integrated into your workflow, we only have this Empty Z-Image Latent one, the style prompt, and the dedicated case sampler. Of course, there's also that save image one, but that's kind of niche purpose, only for those who need that CivitAI metadata in there. All right, so hopefully now you know how to enhance your generation when using the Z-Image Turbo. All right, thanks for watching. I will have this workflow in the description below. It will be like this, and if you're using it as it is, this is where you'll select your image resolution and size. This here, the top one, is where you're going to put your positive from, and then select your style. This is going to be a preview of what you will get, and the case sampler is already integrated here. You'll get your output here. All right, thanks for watching until the very end. Have a nice day. Take care. I will see you next time.